Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, host of the Victoria Real Estate Show with Andrew Plank on Monday mornings. Don't forget to check us out. We're doing a special market update just for the Briar Hill Group community. And today I have Anthony McLachlan. Welcome.
Thank you, Jane. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Anthony is a mortgage broker. Tell us about you, Anthony. Where do you work?
So I work for Mortgage Architects. There's a couple different franchises on the island and many across Canada. Moved out to the island about 2 years ago. Was a mortgage broker out in Toronto before I came here, and I'm loving it on the West Coast and on the island.
Do you find knowing the areas very important when you're getting the financing and stuff like that? Like I find if I work with a mortgage broker from Ontario, they don't really know what's going on in the market here.
Absolutely. I mean, there is obviously coming, we're licensed provincially. So coming from Ontario to BC, there's a couple different things that you need to know that you do pick up on pretty quickly, because we all have there's multiple people on our team, and they'll be quick to correct you when you realize you're making Ontario mistakes. But even the names of the contracts. I mean, in Ontario, it's an APS. Here, it's different, right? So so just small little things to know about. But then it also comes down to the properties too, right? I mean, there's a bunch of different types of things you need to consider here when it comes to property, and you got to pick up on that pretty quick.
Yeah, and one reason to have a broker is because they're going to be your advocate for you with the underwriter. The underwriter is going to be your advocate for you with the lender. And so it's important to have somebody who knows what they're talking about. Anthony is a former client of mine. So you've been in the market here how many years now?
This is my second. Yeah, I've 2 full years, starting my third. Wow, geez, time's flying by. Bit of a time warp. Life's kind of going by pretty quick.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get started with the slideshow here. All right, so we're gonna look at the market up to the end of January 30th, 2022. And I thought, first of all, we'll give it some perspective and just ask you what's happening with the mortgage rates, and I mean, I see these all the time. So what do they really mean? What's a posted rate, and what's a best rate mean?
All right, so the posted rates are actually, I guess, well, let's work backwards. The best rate and what you see on your contract, that is your contract discounted rate. So people may have the misconception that that is the rate that's tied to their contract is what they end up getting. So for example, the 5.09 on a 5-year fixed there, that's an insured deal. So a minimum down payment or less than 20%. But really, your contract rate or the underwriting says that your rate is actually 5.44. Now that's not the interest rate you're paying, but in the event of breaking your mortgage, that's the number they use when calculating your interest rate differential penalty when you are with a fixed. So those are the posted rates behind the scenes, and then every rate that everyone has is actually a discounted rate from the posted rate.
Clear as mud. Okay, so I'm seeing 3.70 for prime rate. That is still pretty awesome. So posted rates are what, 2.09% higher there for 1 year?
So for a 1-year rate, you will be able to take advantage of a discount, which, I mean, right now in kind of an uncertain time, rates were going up. They've kind of settled back down a little bit. I mean, a 1-year rate's not necessarily the worst option, because you're saving a couple basis points there. And then, our prime rate variable is still at 3.70 up until the 13th of this month, when we're expecting another 25 to 50 basis points. But I mean, things are cooling off. So the expectation is a 50 basis point hike, but who knows? There's still some time up until the 13th, so things can change.
Okay, and so what influences mortgage rates?
Well, for fixed mortgages, it comes down to bond yields. But I mean, there's so much working behind that influences bond yields. And a lot of us, our rates in Canada are our bond yields, and what impacts rates it really comes down to the international market. So it's kind of frustrating to see rates going up. I mean, historically speaking, a 5% interest rate isn't that bad. It's actually quite good. So it's good to have some perspective on that. But yeah, so what's going on around in the world with inflation, other countries' bond yields, there's a lot of things that factor into the fixed rates. And then variable is dictated by the Bank of Canada's overnight rate, which then creates our prime rate, which lenders typically, when you see the Bank of Canada raise the overnight rate, lenders will go in lockstep with them and increase prime by the according amount or decrease it.
Right. And I found during COVID that didn't always happen, but yeah, generally it does happen. So if I'm going to get a 5-year variable rate mortgage right now, what would I be paying?
So for a high ratio, so less than 20% down, you'd be looking at about 2.8%, which is fantastic. I'm still pushing a lot of my clients that way if it's the right situation for them. But you do have to be open to the opportunity that your interest rate could rise as early as the 13th. Typically, that's only reflected after the next pay period for your mortgage, though.
Okay. Yeah. I've been getting those notices, and it's better over the long term statistically to get a variable as opposed to a fixed rate, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's time has shown that variable is the better option, and so that is the way that I push my clients. But it's not just for the historical trends; it's also for the ability of the flexibility that you have with a variable rate mortgage. The penalty is only 3 months interest. If you ever need to refinance to pay out debt, pay off medical bills, get a new car if you're in an accident, you can access your home's equity without paying a huge interest rate differential penalty, which is associated with fixed rates. Again,
Right.
clear as mud.
Well, I know that some people were paying like 30% or $30,000,
Yeah.
whereas, people with variable rate were paying maybe
Mhm.
$1,500. So it can be significant.
The largest I've ever seen is it was just a little over $60,000 to break a 5-year mortgage, and there was only, I believe, 2.5 years left in the term. So
And the average time that people spend in their homes before moving is usually less than the 5 years. So it is
exactly.
better to get a variable rate.
Yeah, the expression that I've loved using is life is variable. Shouldn't your mortgage be too? And as we've seen over the last couple of years, life is certainly variable. And going with a 5-year fixed mortgage just kind of defies logic for me. So if clients are very budget conscious and they are up against it in their qualifying ratios, I will suggest a 5-year fixed. But if a client has a little bit of wiggle room financially, then I usually try to lean them towards the variable rate. But that's it's everyone's personal decision.
I do have a client who did get a 3 point something 10-year fixed like 4 or 5 months ago. And yeah, and she's like, yeah, she's thrilled because she knows what her payments are going to be and all this
Hmm.
stuff, but it gives her zero flexibility.
Hmm.
So the term I heard, the phrase I heard was marry the house, date the rate.
Yep. I like that. That's a good one too.
Okay, so let's go on and just look at what's happening, and then maybe you can give some perspective from your clients, what's happening in their world. So
Mhm.
over the past week, we've had 261 new listings with 125 pending. So that to me says the market has slowed down. Last February we were at 1 to 1 or 1 to 1.2.
Mhm.
So are you finding that, like, for me, I'm finding my clients now have time in order to write the offer to consider whether or not they're going to write. They don't feel the rush anymore. Are you
Yeah,
finding?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I found the first part of the year, business wise, was a lot slower for me. And now that things have kind of calmed down, people are stepping away because they're a little shy of the interest rates. Days on market are extending. Conditions are coming back onto the table. You don't kind of have to sell your soul to try and get the winning bid. So I found that it's the clients that I have who were struggling to win are now they're all coming back out of the woodwork and they're succeeding. So my clients are happy, so I'm happy.
Good. Well, we can see that they're able to get a bit of a deal compared to previously with 125 price decreases.
Mhm.
And there are some price increases. Usually those are administrative, or perhaps in some cases where a seller has tried to price to get multiple offers and hasn't got the multiple offer, has actually increased the listing price to their minimum bid.
Mhm.
So, what month to date, or sorry, year to date for the month of July? 612 sales in June, compared to 942 for June of 2021. So we're down 30%. New listings were up to 1380 over 1208 for June of 2021. And total active listings were up at just over 2,000, and that's compared to 1,375. So that's, I would say, a 40% increase. Wow. Crazy. Okay. And then looking at the total, this is over 2 years, total new listings and total sales. You can see where the line is close to the bar graph that there is a very high ratio of list to sales. And December actually is one of the best time of the years to sell. And February is also another good time. And that's where you can get your house sold and then have a long closing date. And you can see there's more options available.
Mhm.
Do you ever give people advice on things like that? Like, so for instance, when are typical rate hikes? Are they in the spring?
Yes, I mean, I find that after the new year, we start to see a lot of discounts and promotions from our lenders. And so yeah, beginning of the year, they want to make sure that they're starting off the year getting their book full, making sure they're getting a good footing before the spring market. Things start to climb a little bit after the first little wave. Once we really just get into the spring market, I find, and then summer is the months of August is obviously kind of a cooling off period before fall. So it is kind of cyclical with that. You kind of see the waves of opportunity, and but I mean, obviously, things are so subject to what's kind of going on around the market. So obviously, right now rates are not what people would like them to be, but pandemic rates don't exist anymore.
Pandemic rates, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see last year we had more of a typical year with two kind of humps. That's normal with a little bit of a rest in the summer.
Hmm.
We are heading into a low period right now. So seasonally, we're heading into a normal low, but the number of listings is still climbing. So I mean, when I got into real estate, there were 3,400 listings on the market. Now there's more people in the city, and we only have 2,000. So we're still in a very strong market. But when we go to this graph, it shows that we're actually heading into a balanced market. So that's where buyers, we've done what's called a shift, and it's quick over the past 4 months, where we have swung from a heavy sellers market into a buyer's one, or balanced one.
Hmm.
So buyer's market means that really you're going to start to see, and we are the beginning of subject to sale offers, where we are saying, I want to know where I'm going to go before I buy. And
Hmm.
that can be risky for a seller.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any of those?
Not yet. I do have some clients who are looking to. I mean, there's always we have the conversation of what should I do? Should I buy first or sell first? And there's no right answer. It's kind of just what the client's most comfortable with. Haven't seen any of those as of yet, but people having condition on the sale of their home. But I'm not sure. Have you?
Yeah, I had two in the last week. So one where a buyer
Okay.
came to our property, and we actually got a backup offer, and they wanted to bump the initial offer. And we actually said, well, what's the incentive? So they increased their price. And what this does is if the first buyer makes a really good offer, when the backup offer comes in, you have to be as good as the first offer. So because it's like, if I'm going to give you $10 for an apple and somebody else comes in after and says, well, I'll give you $8 for the apple, you're going to be like, no.
Yeah.
Right? Give me $12 for the apple and I'll sell it to you.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what
No,
happened.
that makes sense.
Yeah. And also I find, like, so when I'm looking at subject to sale offers, I'm looking at the reputation of the agent and just seeing, like, do they have a reputation for selling? Are they going to get this transaction done? And if I feel confident in them, then we'll get it done.
And the reputations, everything, as you were mentioning earlier, working with a broker who works with the underwriting and who we all advocate for you, right? So you want to make sure that you get a realtor who's going to refer you a good mortgage broker, because that mortgage broker, if it's being referred, likely has good relationships with underwriters. So it just help put a good team behind you.
Yeah, a dream team.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that all wears red.
That all wears red. Yes, this is coincidental today. So over the past year, we have seen things kind of settle down. And then over the past few months, definitely moving downward. So from 1.450, we're still up year over year. So one of the things with statistics is you can really manipulate them how you want. So, I mean, they're talking about the number of sales down, but the actual average house price is still up compared to last year. So we're over $1 million. That being said, if you're looking under $1 million, there's way more choice now than there was a few months ago. So
I'm finding that with my clients, is that a lot more different scenarios I'm drawing up as they go look at places and find that they don't have to settle on their first home.
Yeah. So there's choice. Yeah. Condos have also settled down. So peaking there in January of 2022, up around 700,000 and coming down to 650. So that's almost a 10% decrease. So that's good news for condo buyers. And then row townhouses, as we show you every Monday when we talk about this, there's varying quality. And so it depends on what's selling when. And we're looking at an average of over 900,000. It's definitely gone up over 2 years. That's, wow, 50% increase to over 900,000. Benchmark prices, this is the home price index. So looking year over year from June of 2022, I'm just going to do the core. So it was up at 1.464 million. And June of 2021 is last year was 1.184. So again, up 23.6% from last year. That's huge. And but only up 1.2% from last month. And then condos in the core benchmark for June of 2022 was 643. That's up from 495 last year. It's 29.7%. And again, just up 1.5% from last month. And then row townhouses, they're at 919. This is up from 746 last year, which is 23.2%, but only 3.2% over last month. So we're seeing the leveling out happening. So
yeah, a bit of a
what's your prediction?
Well, on the variable side of things, I am really curious to see what happens with variable rates come the 13th of July. There was talk of 50 and whispers of potentially a 75 basis point increase for this next announcement. But with things calming down a little bit, bond yields have just recently started taking a bit of a dip. You can kind of just get the feeling that things are calming down a little bit. Gas prices coming down. So it stands to reason that inflation is hopefully slowing down a little bit. It's tricky because having a rate announcement every 2 months and doing a 50 basis point hike, 2 months isn't really a lot of time to see the impact of that. Especially, like I mentioned earlier, inflation, raising rates isn't necessarily going to slow down inflation, and but it will certainly economists think that it's going to help contribute to a potential recession. Getting a little off track here, but I expect fixed rates to come down before the end of 2022 slightly. And variable, we'll see where we land. I think they'll probably end up going again with a 50 basis point increase, bringing prime up to 4.2, which would mean you're looking at variable rates of about 3.1 potentially.
I got caught having a fixed rate just before all of this, I think 2017. And then we renewed, and of course we renewed variable. So it's like I can't win.
It's I mean, the way I see it is just go variable every time, and eventually you're likely to hit, right?
Anyway, yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing, actually, it's funny listening to the CBC today and hearing about oil prices coming down. I'm like, it doesn't really make sense to me. And also wheat prices were coming down. Also, that doesn't make sense to me. It's because there's more planting happening in Canada. But like all of these things affect our economy. I do think we're going to see houses come down a little bit more in price. It is a good time to sell. We're still year over year over compared to where we were. So you're up 23%. I mean, if you want to cash out, now is a good time. And then I think we're going to see leveling out by the end of the year.
I absolutely agree.
Okay. Well, that was easy to say. Who knows what'll really happen?
Yeah. We do our best.
We do our best. So we're going to do a formal update next Monday with Andrew Plank on the Victoria Real Estate Show. So every Monday morning we're on YouTube. You can also see us on Facebook at my name, Jane Johnston. And also, if you want my information, my number is 250-744-0775. And my email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. You can visit me at briarhillgroup.com or go to vancouverislandtime.com. I'm just going to show my information there. And then, Anthony, how do people reach you?
So they can reach me by cell at 250-686-0383, by email at anthony@ratedesk.ca. And you can find my team's website and myself at ratedesk.ca.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your perspective.
No, thanks for having me on, and it's always a pleasure.
Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on Mondays. Bye.